Every purchase you've made this month was emotional. Every single one. You told yourself you were being logical, comparing prices, reading reviews. But the decision was already made before you opened the browser tab. By the end of this, you'll understand the exact framework that separates people who build wealth from people who spend their lives wondering where it all went. A CFO at a mid-sized company doesn't look at a $100,000 software contract and ask, "Can we afford this?" That question never crosses their desk. The question is, what does this money become 12 months from now? Every dollar is a deployment. A bet with expected returns, risk exposure, and an opportunity cost that gets calculated before anyone signs anything. You buy a car and think about the monthly payment. A CFO would think about the total cost of ownership over 5 years, the depreciation curve, the capital tied up that could compound elsewhere, and the maintenance drag on future cash flow. Same object, completely different lens, and that lens changes everything about how money moves through your life. Think about the last time you bought something over $500. You probably checked your bank balance. Maybe you Googled a few alternatives. You might have slept on it for a night, which felt disciplined. Then you bought it. The entire process centered on one question: can I afford this right now? CFOs operate on a different question entirely. They ask what a dollar does after it's spent. Does it generate revenue? Does it reduce a future cost? Does it open a capability that didn't exist before? If the answer is it sits there and depreciates, the conversation is already over. This is where most personal finance advice falls apart. Budgeting apps teach you to track where money went. That's an autopsy. Useful, sure. But an autopsy has never saved a patient. The shift happens when you start making capital allocation decisions before the money leaves your account. Capital allocation. That phrase sounds corporate, almost cold. But strip away the jargon and it means something brutally simple. Every dollar you have is an employee. Some employees work hard, generating returns while you sleep. Some sit in the break room costing you money every day they exist. Your job is to fire the ones that produce nothing and hire the ones that multiply. Here's where it gets personal. Your subscription stack is a department full of employees you forgot you hired. $8 here, $15 there, $30 for something you used twice in January. A CFO runs a quarterly review of every recurring expense, asking one question: does the return justify continued allocation? You can do the same thing in 20 minutes with a bank statement and a highlighter. But subscriptions are the easy win. The real gap between consumer thinking and CFO thinking shows up in bigger decisions. Consider two people earning the same salary. Person A buys a new couch because the old one looks dated, $1,500, financed at 0% for 12 months. Person B takes that same $1,500 and puts it into an index fund. In 10 years, at average market returns, Person B's couch money has roughly doubled. Person A has a couch that's now itself 10 years old and looking dated again. The couch wasn't a purchase, it was a trade. $1,500 of future wealth exchanged for furniture that loses value the moment it enters your living room. Now, this doesn't mean you live like a monk. CFOs spend enormous amounts of money, billions sometimes. The difference is intentionality. Every expenditure has a thesis behind it. This will improve employee retention by reducing burnout, is a thesis. I deserve this, is a feeling. Both are real, only one compounds. So how do you actually start thinking this way without an MBA and a spreadsheet addiction? The first shift is learning to calculate opportunity cost instinctively. When you see a $300 jacket, the consumer brain compares it to other jackets. The CFO brain compares it to everything else that $300 could become. $300 invested monthly for a decade can grow into something north of $50,000. That jacket is competing against $50,000 of future wealth. It might still win that competition. Some purchases are worth it, but the jacket should have to make its case. The second shift is understanding the difference between an expense and an investment. Expenses extract value. Investments create it. The same dollar can be either one depending on context. A gym membership for someone who goes 4 times a week is an investment in future health costs avoided, energy levels maintained, productivity sustained. The same membership for someone who goes twice in February is a recurring expense generating guilt instead of returns. Context determines category. And you're the only one who can honestly evaluate which category your spending falls into. The third shift is the hardest, and it's the one most people never make. You have to stop optimizing for the best allocation. Consumers spend hours finding coupons, comparing prices, hunting for the lowest cost version of something they've already decided to buy. That energy is pointed in the wrong direction. The CFO question comes before the shopping question. Before, where can I get this cheapest, comes, should this money be deployed here at all? Read every review, watched comparison videos, waited for a sale. Saved about $200 on a $1,200 TV. In those same 2 weeks, the company she worked for opened enrollment for a 401k match she hadn't signed up for, 6% match. She was leaving thousands of dollars of free money on the table every year, while optimizing for $200 off a screen. That's consumer thinking in its purest form, winning a battle inside a war you're losing. Critics would push back here. Ordinary people can't think like CFOs because CFOs are playing with other people's money. Fair point. When the money is yours, the emotional weight is different. You feel the loss, you feel the want. You're making decisions inside your own life, with your own cravings and your own stress, and your own kids asking for things. That's real, and pretending it isn't would be dishonest. But that emotional weight is exactly why the framework matters more for you than it does for a corporate CFO. They have institutional checks, boards, audits. You have your impulses and a buy now button that's been engineered by the smartest designers in human history to remove every friction between desire and payment. The framework is your audit committee, your board of directors, the pause between stimulus and response where wealth is either built or burned. One exercise that makes this concrete: at the end of each month, sort your spending into 3 columns. Column 1 is investments, things that will return more value than they cost over time. Column 2 is operating expenses, things you genuinely need to function. Column 3 is depreciation, things that lost most of their value the moment you bought them. Most people discover that column 3 is eating 60 to 70% of their income. Just seeing the ratio changes behavior in ways that willpower alone never could. The goal isn't to eliminate column 3. You're a human being, and humans need joy, comfort, spontaneity. The goal is to make column 3 a conscious choice rather than a default setting. A CFO who allocates 30% of a budget to R&D knows exactly what they're trading for that bet. You should know exactly what you're trading when you spend $400 on a weekend trip. If the trade still feels right, take the trip. The clarity is the point. There's one more dimension most people miss entirely: the time value of decisions. A CFO knows that a good decision made quickly is worth more than a perfect decision made slowly. Analysis paralysis costs real money. The person who spends 6 months researching investments while their cash sits in a checking account earning nothing has already made a decision. They've decided to lose purchasing power at the rate of inflation every single day they delay. Indecision is a decision. It just happens to be the most expensive one. Start this week. Pick your 3 largest discretionary expenses from last month. For each one, write a single sentence explaining what that money became. If you can't articulate what it produced, what capability it built, what future cost it prevented, what genuine human experience it created, you found your first real allocation opportunity. The gap between where you are and where you want to be financially is almost never an income problem. It's an allocation problem. You have enough coming in, you're just deploying it like someone browsing a store, instead of someone running a balance sheet. Your money is already working for someone. Right now, today, every dollar you've spent is generating returns. The question is whether those returns are flowing to you or to the companies that designed the checkout page. Start running your life like someone who reads the quarterly report. The numbers will follow.